Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Coach Jimmy Garrity Show, brought to you by RJ Rockers. I'm Jim Noble, joined by Wofford Terrier women's basketball coach Jimmy Garrity. Jimmy, I can't believe we're at this point. Almost the end of the season. Still some work to be done, but boy, you can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel now, can't you?
I tell you, it is, with COVID and backing things up. Um, Back then, it seems like so long ago when we just started practicing because it took a while to get the game started, not in your normal first week in November. But now here we are. Holy cow, we got another week left, one game in the regular season, and then we're off to Asheville for the Southern Conference tournament. So this is a really exciting time of the year for all basketball programs. But we're super excited about this week. Get to go over to Furman and play our rival, and then head up to Asheville after that.
All right, I got a quote for you coming off the last couple of weeks. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? You have to know how you stack up against the best teams in the conference. And boy, it was rough with first place Sanford, a couple of games against them at home, and then having to go to second place Mercer and face them on their home floor. First of all, awesome win in that first game. I mean, the number one team in the league comes in. You knock them off at home. I really like what I saw from the ladies in that, especially that huge second half. So after that, what did that first game prove to you on any given night? It seems that you can play with any team in the league.
Well, we know, just to backtrack a little bit, our schedule at the back half, the top three teams in the league, we're finishing with them, and then our rival at the very end. But Sanford is super talented. I mean, they can score it from deep. They can drive it. They can press you. They're just a really well coached basketball team, and our girls just had the right mindset. Going up against the top team, we played really good basketball. We made shots. We attacked their zone, which, in the past has given us a little bit of problems. But they were just really confident, of course. And when you can see that ball go through the hoop, it helps out with your confidence. But I thought our defense was really good. They do have one of the top players in the league, Andrea, and she is good defensively. She's good off the dribble. She plays super hard. A super talented kid. And then they got inside presence with Natalie Armstrong, and a couple of transfers, and we just played really good basketball and shared it really well.
Now, obviously, they were ready for game two. There's no doubt. And look, that's what great teams do. They bounce back, and they had some fire. But as you take that 2-game series as a whole, look. Hopefully you will see them again in Asheville. So certainly it was kind of a blowout in game 2. They shot the lights out, and sometimes you just can't guard against that when they're just hitting everything. So the whole ball of wax, those 2 games, what did you take from it in terms of moving forward?
Well, we really emphasize, and we look back at our losses that haven't been that close. We've got off to bad starts. I mean, our first 3 possessions versus Sanford on the second game was turnover, score, turnover, score, turnover, score. And just like that, we were down 9-0. And it's just hard to recover from that. And so we really emphasized that part of it, is that, for us, we break it down into every quarter. Hey, at the start of the game, though, you've got to get off to a good start, turnover-free basketball, whether you're scoring it or not. The games that we've had trouble with, we've come out with maybe consecutive turnovers in the first 2-3 possessions, and it's just hard to overcome that from a really good, talented team.
Yeah, and a good team like that, they will kind of smell blood in the water. I think that as I was watching, that kind of became apparent, where their body language in game 2 was completely different.
When they got going, they were cooking.
Yeah, and we've talked about
it was hard to stop them.
Yeah, and we've talked about the dynamic of being hard to beat anybody 2 times in a row, much less the first place team in the league.
It's tough. It is tough, and we've talked about that in the previous shows. And I don't think neither team really made too many adjustments. They just played a lot better, and we didn't play as good as we did the day before.
Mm-hmm. So you go ahead, you get that out of your system. And again, we talked last show about senior night, about Jamari, and it's a little bit different. I know we've got a few fans and parents in there, so that was nice. But moving on, you go to Mercer, and now you've got a Mercer team with a lot to play for in terms of seeding. In terms of they're trying to catch up to Samford as well. Jimmy, two of the hardest fought games I think I've seen Wofford play. They were on the road. They were nip and tuck in the fourth quarter. One of them goes to double overtime. That first game, though, it was the fourth quarter that kind of turned the tail for Mercer. It got them the win.
Yeah, I mean, both games, we fought so hard. I was really proud of our effort on the road. That is a tough place to play. We've never won there. Our girls didn't shy away from that. They're obviously one of the most talented teams in the league. They're long, they're athletic, they guard really hard, and they got all conference players on that team. 4 of the top 7 scorers are in the starting lineup for Mercer. So it was a big challenge for us, but super proud of the way our players played and the effort that they gave in that first game. It went back and forth, right? And then in that fourth quarter, we just got stuck a little bit and had a hard time scoring the ball. And that's when they took a little bit of advantage. They beat us by 10 in the fourth quarter. Now, some of those we had to foul at the end, but it was, and all said and done, it was a, 2-4 point game that was coming right down to the stretch.
So we're hoping the dynamic works going into game 2. We're hoping that, the way almost every series has gone this year, you guys are ready. And it's another battle. It goes into overtime. Look, there are a lot of heroes for Wofford on that night. Lily Hatton's best game as a Terrier, no doubt. Career high 26, blocked a bunch of shots. Jamari McDavid goes over 1,000 career points. And I don't know if anybody notices because the game is so tight. What did double overtime do in terms of conditioning, in terms of your player rotation? What did that bring into it in terms of trying to really get out of there with a win?
It was tough, like that second overtime. And I think the mental fatigue was just as strong as, the regular, the muscle and the physical stuff. But in regulation, again, it went back and forth. I think there were 21 lead changes in that game, 21, and it went back and forth. And in the fourth quarter, like we were down by like 7, and then we just buckled down. We came in, we got some big stops and big scores. And then, going into, I think there was less than 20 seconds, we had multiple opportunities from the free throw line and just couldn't convert. But then we get the rebound. And a couple more seconds to go off the clock. And then we'd have another chance. They foul us again because they were down by 3. And we were just unable to convert. And then at the other end, they made a big shot. Now, I'll give them credit. At the end of the day, it wasn't like our defense was bad. They put it in the hole. And that's a tough shot to make. And give them credit that they did. So now we go into overtime. So we're in that first huddle. All right, we're fine. We got this. I'd sign up for this before we came down, take them to overtime at their place. Let's do this thing. And so they're all ready and they're all go out. We get off to a good start. That overtime goes back and forth. And then we go up by 3 again. And it's kind of the same scenario. We get a chance to maybe put it away from the free throw line. And we make 1 or 2 or, to go up by 4 or 5 and make it a 2-possession game. And then they come down by 3, and they get multiple opportunities to score it. And a couple of them, we're fighting ourselves to get the rebound, and then we accidentally knock it out of bounds on our own. And then they came up with some big rebounds, a save that we barely miss, and it goes right to them. And just everything happened right for us. And they thinking, this game should have already been over. Should have won this thing. So we're fighting that battle itself going, and we just ran out of gas.
All right, onward and upward. Let's move past that. Take a quick break. When we come back, the season-ending grudge match against our old buddies from Furman. That's coming up next on the Coach Jimmy Garrity Show.
Wofford The underdog. The long shot. The nobody from nowhere, never gonna happen in your dreams, kid. 100 to 1 shot. We know something about that. We're with you every step of the way.
And welcome back to the Coach Jimmy Garrity Show. I'm Jim Noble, Coach Garrity down there in Spartanburg. And boy, Spartanburg is, well, I wish this next game were at home, but you get to go down the road to Greenville to take on the Furman Paladins this weekend. Jimmy, you handled them pretty well at home, 61-54, way back in January 9th, which seems like a world ago right now. And I'm not sure how much translates over from that last meeting. But first of all, coming off the games we were just talking about in the last segment, do you have to play amateur psychiatrist at all? Do you need to lift the girls back up, or they pretty good at bouncing back from adversity?
You know, as a coaching staff, we talked about that, just that same thing on Monday, leading up to yesterday's practice. And I told, and I didn't know how they would come out, because just as we lost those two games, you know, one thing different, we win those two games. And so their mindset coming into Monday's practice, leading up to a huge game on Thursday, right? I was a little concerned. And man, I can't tell you how proud I am of our players. The way our Monday's practice was one of the best that we had. And I told them that yesterday. We talked a little bit before practice that it wasn't that, and surprise was not the right word, but I just thanked them for their effort and their mental capacity to approach this week the right way and to bounce back from those two tough losses. And so, yeah, they're going to be ready. It's going to be, it's against our rival. It's important to this program. It's important to the college, important to the community. And we talk about it. And I think there's something special in the rivalry. And so we want them to understand that and to buy into it. And they are.
When you first got to Wofford, this wasn't much of a rivalry. They won a bunch of games in a row. They had won a bunch of games in a row before you got here. Last 3 years, it's pretty much been even, 50-50. Yeah. I know they won the tournament game in Asheville, and you guys would love to get a little revenge off that, but it's a new season. Not much carries over. Yeah. So is there something to be said for being on the road in this situation? I know it's a real short trip, don't get me wrong, but sometimes teams bond together on the road better. There's less distractions. You don't have the rest of the campus, and you're not, trying to finish up a math quiz on your way over to the arena. Can that work for you in some weird way?
Well, it can. And we look at, it's important to our players that know the history of the rivalry too. And the history of the rivalry has not been very kind to the Terriers over at Furman. So we've never won over there. And we talk about that. I want them to know it. It's important. And so, at the end of the day, would you rather play at home? Yeah, but it also, you got an opportunity to do something that's never been done. And let's embrace that. And let's do our very best and see where we fall at the end of the game. And so I think it's going to be a great game. They're really good. They're solid. They got two of the best players in the league. Their freshman class is really good and producing a lot of points and minutes. So it's going to take our very best effort to win over there.
Give me a couple of keys to this matchup, considering the fact that it's been 6-7 weeks since you last played the Paladins.
Yeah, well, it's the same. It is the same. Tierra Hodges for them is one of the top players in the league. Selena Taborn, their post player, is 6'4", and she is a load underneath. If she gets you on that left block, it's 2 points or it's a foul. So our defense is going to be the key on our defense and rebounding. So I think, as we have rebounded well and won that battle and won the offensive rebounds and getting second chance opportunities, that's going to be enormous for us. And again, we got to come off to a good start on the road. You just got to have those first 3, 4, 5 possessions to be clean basketball. Maybe you don't score it, but it's got to be clean and no live ball turnovers that lead to easy baskets.
All right, that one set for Thursday. We hope that Wofford can make some history down there at Tibbins Arena in Greenville. When we come back, we'll wrap things up with a early look ahead to the Southern Conference tournament in Asheville. We'll talk about the seeding, who the Terriers might end up playing in the first matchup. That's coming up next as the Jimmy Garrity Coaches Show continues. And welcome back to the Coach Jimmy Garrity Show, brought to you by RJ Rockers. All right, once we get past Furman, and that's a big one. Nobody's looking past that. But I do want to look a little bit at the conference standings, how things might shake out, Jimmy, once we go to Asheville for the Southern Conference tournament. Of course, right now the Terriers stand at 7-6 in the conference, 11-9 overall. It looks to me, and things are different this year, but it looks to me that you're kind of locked in to that number 4 seed unless some really wacky things happen. So I know that's not on your front burner right now, but as you look ahead and look at the potential matchups, how do you think the bracket might shake out for you?
Yeah, it does. I think you're right on that. We're thinking the same thing, that we're pretty much locked in at 4. And going into the season, obviously you always want to win the league. But to finish in the top half for this group, I think in our program, we'll keep making steps, those positive steps. And so really proud to finish in the top half of the conference. And yeah, there could be a little bit of shakeup. At the 1 and 2, there's Mercer could end up winning out and taking over the top spot. But it's going to be between them and Sanford. Chat's going to be 3. And then between 5 and 6 is going to be between Furman and UNCG. So again, the parity of the league is, especially when you look back at the season and there's been so many splits from game 1 to game 2, or if not the split, really tight games. And, on the road, anything can happen. And the other thing you're battling, you might have a little luck or bad luck, depending on how you look at it, with COVID. Who knows, you got to do the testing, and next thing you know, that could play into, who's able to play, who's not. So, there's a lot to play for, and we're just going to take it one day at a time, and we're going to go up there and give our very best effort.
I will say this, it seems like the women's side of the Southern Conference has been a little bit better at the protocols. And women are just smarter than men. You and I know that anyway. So it's just, hopefully this will continue for the women's side and we won't have any issues. Yeah, time of day always interests me when we go to Asheville. It looks like no matter what happens, you'd play a 2:15 game that Thursday. Is it nice to play earlier in the day and get yourself more recovery time? Or is it kind of weird when you've been playing a lot of night games, although a lot of our second games on these doubleheaders have been afternoon starts?
I don't really know. I mean, we played in that time slot the last 3 years, so we should be used to it. But again, the games on the weekend are typically at 2. So it's all just going to be, are you focused and where your feet are and ready to play, and you're prepared and you're feeling good about yourself, whatever time of day it is. We'll be there and show up and give our best effort.
Will it be weird playing in that big old barn with no fans? I mean, it's one thing to play in some of your road arenas seat 2,000 people.
Yeah.
Is it going to be weird to play in an 8,000-9,000 seat arena? And you think about things like shooting backgrounds and stuff like that.
It may be, but that first half of the year, we really didn't have fans at any place that we went. So we played in big arenas too. So, I think at the end of the day, when that ball gets thrown up for the tip, you're locked in and lasered in on the floor, and you don't really hear that background stuff anyway. So I think we'll be fine.
I know we're going to do a big Southern Conference preview show next week for both the men's and women's programs. So, but a final question on the tournament: would it surprise you to see teams outside maybe the first 3 in the league appear in the conference final because of the parity that the league has shown?
Yeah, no, it wouldn't at all. There's some really talented players in this league, and we've lost games of people that are lower seed than us right now as the standing stand, and we've won against the top teams too. So the league has really, really good coaches, and there's some really talented players. And it's all going to be, if you can get hot at the right time, maybe make some shots, maybe take care of the ball a little bit better than you did throughout the year, win the defensive and rebounding battle, you're going to be all right. You're going to be tough out.
Final question for you. This has been such a roller coaster for everybody on campus, everybody associated with college sports in general. The one thing we never really think about until it's sometimes it's late in the year. How about the Garrity family? How have you guys gone through this as far as you'd love to have everybody at the games, and you know your wife is one of the biggest boosters for your program that I've ever seen. I see her on Twitter all the time.
Yeah.
Has it been hard on them not to be able to be around everybody like they're used to being?
It is. My wife misses our players. Like, she tells me that all the time, because in the past she would come to a lot of our practices, and sometimes I wouldn't even know it, but she's just up in the upper deck just watching. She just wants to be around them. And my youngest daughter, Carly, absolutely has fallen in love with basketball. I mean, at night, you know, I'm basketball all day long, and she wants to watch basketball on ESPN at night. And I'm like, oh man, all right, let's watch another game. And she's, you know, she misses it too coming. But thankfully, they've got to come to a few games. But you're right, they're hanging in there, and they are our biggest fans, and don't really know that they're going to get to go to Asheville or not yet. So we'll see how that plays out. But if she's told that she's not going, you better lock all them doors, because she might find a way to sneak in.
Well, I tell you what, it beats the alternative of which we thought maybe at one point this past summer we might not even be playing. So we've all gotten through this together, and so much credit goes to the administration, your players, your coaches, all the support staff. It's really remarkable that we've gotten this far, that we're going to have. A lot of people thought we'd never have a conference tournament, and we're on the verge of that too. So we appreciate all the efforts that everybody has done. We appreciate you, Jimmy Garrity. Onward and upward. Let's take care of some Paladins this week and get ready for the conference tournament.
We will. And you know, at the end of the day, you know, our word for this year is grateful. I mean, we are very grateful for our college, for the protections they have provided us, and our players and the students, and just be able to play this year has been pretty amazing. And so our players are showing a lot of gratitude too. We'll be ready to play this week, and we'll be ready to go in Asheville next week.
What a great note to end on. For Coach Jimmy Garrity, I'm Jim Noble. Thanks to RJ Rockers, of course, for sponsoring the Jimmy Garrity Show. We'll have a special Southern Conference preview show with both Jimmy and Jay McCauley next week. But for now, thanks for watching the Coach Jimmy Garrity Show.